bring Hasan on stage. I've known Hasan for a long time. We've partnered for a long time. And in fact, we're very excited about the partnership. We're grateful for it. And I'd love you to tell us more about it.
Thank you, Mansoor, and congratulations to the Aria team. Look, fascinating conversation so far. I think we started talking about, again, 24 months ago around this, and it's great to see that this milestone come up. But in all of this conversation, AI is pretty clear. It's a distributed computing problem, right? Whether you're doing distributed inference, whether you're doing training, the processing that you're doing, you are consuming a lot of GPUs or XPUs. The cluster sizes can be hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, and right now we are even talking about clusters which are going to be 1 million XPUs. So network is the computer or the supercomputer in this case because it is the glue that is binding all of this together. Without the right network, that right utilization that needs to be achieved that was being talked about cannot happen. And in fact, the numbers that you talked about, they're very true. Even 5 years ago, Meta came to us and said, we are running these recommendation models and I can't get more than 40% utilization in a lot of cases. But if network is the computer or the supercomputer, how do you build this network? About 4 years ago, we went ahead and said, look, in order to build this infrastructure, you can't rely on proprietary protocols like InfiniBand. I think today, it's pretty unanimous in the industry that to do this, you need something that's open, something that's reliable, scalable, cost-effective, and it has a broad ecosystem, and that is Ethernet. Right? And Broadcom is a player in this space, but you have plenty of other options in that space. So whether you are doing scale out, whether you're doing scale across, when your clusters are so large you need to go across data centers, or moving forward, you want to do scale up within the rack, Ethernet is becoming the de facto standard. And this is openness. Ethernet was one fundamental premise that we agreed on with Aria, right? That is the way to build this infrastructure. So what do we do at Broadcom, right? We make these, right? We build merchant silicon. So it's expensive. There's 235 billion transistors in this thing. But that's what we are maniacally focused on. And when we are building this for this infrastructure, our focus is how to get the best performance, power efficiency, cost effectiveness, solving the problems in silicon which are very important for these workloads. Load balancing, congestion control, fast failover, and also making sure that there is very deep telemetry to make sure that there is visibility that can be had in these networks, in this infrastructure. And look, we have worked, you can see like a clockwork, every 2 years, we double the bandwidth, we double the performance, and this is the only 100 terabit chip out there in the industry. It's disruptive in the sense that if you go back, Stefan, you talked about Cisco, right? If I go back a decade, 128 port, 100 gig system would be 15 to 16 RU. It will cost you $1 million. It will consume 25,000 watts of power, right? And now with this, what you can do is you can do this 8 times the performance, right? You can get 128 ports of 800 gig at 1/8 the form factor, at 1/10 the power, and less than 1/10 the cost, right? So that is what we are focused on. But why we are excited about this partnership with Aria is we don't build the entire stack, right? Somebody has to take what silicon and take it and build on this. And that is why it is very exciting to see these systems. And we are very excited to partner with Aria, right? To these Tomahawk 6-based systems. We are also building these AI NICs. We have introduced the first 800 gig NIC in the industry. We are excited to partner on that front. And fundamental believers in Sonic, right, as the Linux of networking. We have made one of the largest contributors to this particular project, and great to partner with Aria. And I completely agree, right, that this is what everybody is looking for in an operating system moving forward. So But all of this, as you can see, and you can see these optics, right? We have, this is where Broadcom works in as well. But all of this has to be built, that whole stack has to come together. It has to be monitored. You have to have visibility into what is happening in the network. And that is what I'm most excited about, right? This silicon, I think we have talked to Mansoor as like, hey, there's a gold mine of information in here, right? Telemetry, right, that we expose. But kudos to Aria that they recognize this opportunity. And they're really mining this deep telemetry that's here. It's in the NIC. It's in the optics. Because the number one thing that we hear from customers as well is like, look, I'm building this very large cluster. I want the best utilization, right? I've spent $2 billion, $100 million. I want to most out of this infrastructure. But how do I get visibility into this network? When is the next link flap going to happen? Because even if your optics fail 2% of the time in this infrastructure and you have a 4,000 GPU cluster, that's about 15 failures per month. And if you're doing training, you're going to go back to the checkpointed state. Load balancing is so important, but you're taking actions in load balancing. You can't go and manually see, is this really having the desired impact when you're tweaking? And this is why it's exciting, right, that this deep visibility that Aria is giving and this dashboard on what exactly happening in this infrastructure, real time, making changes, making sure you're running optimally all the time is very exciting. So thank you very much for the partnership, and thank you for having us here.
All right. Thank you, Hasan.